Going conscious and falling into a sleepwalk are both extremely interesting topics to think about, especially since I have personal experience with both of those things and can count them with pinpoint memory. But of course, it is always more interesting if we hear from other people's takes on such an interesting topic, so I invited three people for an interview to ask me questions related to the unconsciousness and sleepwalking: Evan, Jan, and my dad. What is your opinion on being unconscious?
I think that being unconscious can be a really scary experience, especially when you're fully unaware of what's going on because you're in a sleep-like state. It's terrifying, and even for some people who go unconscious a lot because of medication, they have no idea what happens during that time period. Anything could happen to you when you're blacking out, and it's just not a fun experience.
I think it's dangerous because you don't really know what's going on when you're not awake, basically. Anything could happen and you could get hurt.
My opinion on unconscious is like really deep sleep. You don't know what you're doing.
Do you have any recollection of going unconscious? So, what was it like?
There was this one time when I was actually working on a house with my dad. I was about 10 years old, and he told me not to go into a room where he was putting in the support beams, and a giant plank of wood fell on top of my head. I went unconscious for a little bit after that, and I woke up like 2 hours later on a couch with an ice pack on my head. No idea what happened. I didn't even remember the wood falling on my head until days later.
Yeah, I can remember any of it. I was riding on a scooter and then a dog on a lead ran in front of me and I fell, hit my head, and then I was unconscious for like 15 seconds and I just woke up laying on the ground and couldn't remember any of it. So yeah, it was fine for me. It was like immediately.
I witnessed some people unconscious. Those are mainly elderly people who is dying. Like they're lying on their beds and going unconscious, and that feel pretty sad. But in normal life, I've never seen anyone being unconscious before because I've never seen anyone unconscious besides really sick people or really elderly people dying.
What do you think happens during the state of unconsciousness? Such as where does your mind go? What do you see?
I think that while most of it's a blur, because it's kind of hard to recollect what happens during that time, I think it's just your brain putting you into a subconscious state just so that, like, you're not feeling pain or anything during that time period. Like, more of like a defense mechanism. Like, let's say, I don't know, your hand went missing. You'd probably black out of fear, and your body would shut you off just to avoid most of that trauma.
Well, according to my previous experience, I couldn't see anything. It was like a teleportation for me. I just, yeah.
Unconscious, I think your mind will go blank. You don't know anything. That's what I think.
What is your perspective on sleepwalking?
My perspective on sleepwalking is that it's somewhat like unconsciousness. While yes, you're asleep, your body isn't asleep. Your mind's asleep, yeah, but your body is just still going. I think that it's really cool actually how your muscles can memorize like daily actions like visiting the fridge or walking into the bathroom. So I think that's just really interesting.
Yeah, as I already mentioned, I think it's real dangerous because you don't really think about what you're doing, so anything could happen.
Sleepwalking. Because, well, I don't know it myself, but my family never told me that I sleepwalk. Never. So I don't think I ever sleepwalk.
Have you ever sleepwalked? If so, what was it like?
Went sleepwalking once, and according to my mom and my brothers, which I can't remember anything that happened during it, but apparently I fell down the stairs and put a hole in the wall with my head. I didn't remember any of it. I didn't wake up from it, but according to them, that's why there's a hole in the wall. and I believe that over anything.
Yeah, I sleepwalk multiple times. At least that's what my family says. For example, once when I was at my grandma's house, I just woke up, walked around the house, then pissed on a carpet, and then went back to bed.
But I've experienced some people sleepwalking, and that was, to me, the first time I saw that was interesting. When we moved to Canada in 2016, my son, he was like sleepwalking for a few times. One time, all of a sudden, he sleepwalks again. I roll my phone recording, and that time he was in a stage of going back to his bed. What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you awake? Are you awake? Are you awake? He came out from his room and then walked to our room, and he was actually crying for something. And then I tried to wake him up and didn't succeed. And that was a bit scary, because for my own son, seeing him act not normally is quite scary for me. But things change after a month, and starting from then, he stopped sleepwalking. So for me, that was a relief.
As I said previously, I believe it's just your brain shutting off everything so that you don't experience trauma, right? But that's for blackouts. For sleepwalking, I believe it's more of just something along the lines of like you don't get enough physical activity, or you broke a routine, for example. And if you have had family like history with sleepwalking, you're likely to sleepwalk too if you break these cycles that you go through every day. Like, let's say you didn't visit the fridge yesterday. Well, your body might think that was weird and will probably make you visit the fridge in your sleep just to make up for it. Sleepwalking is a difficult thing to explain as to why it happens, and there's probably way more people with expertise on the subject.
Your mind might, I think your mind is in like a different dream in a different world, and it's like kind of your muscles are acting like you were in that dream even though you're actually not. And that's why this like kind of combination of real life and your dream, and that's why weird things could happen.
Sleepwalking. He said he was dreaming about doing his math homework every single time when he sleepwalks. He was dreaming, but he didn't know he got out of his bed and walked around the room.
Now that you've said all of that, compare and contrast all that you've said of sleepwalking to unconsciousness. Are they the same thing or not?
I believe that sleepwalking and unconsciousness, while similar, they're not the same thing. I fully believe that blacking out or unconsciousness is just the body defending itself, for your brain, for your body, just making sure that you're healthy, so it'll black you out, which is kind of why doctors will put you under anesthetics and make you pass out during an operation so that you avoid any trauma from it. And for sleepwalking, it's more of just a routine type thing where you do a routine and your body does that routine. It's hard to explain, but I would not say that they're similar at all, really.
I think it's pretty similar because you can't really remember any of it, but for the other people, sleepwalking is less scary than being unconscious, because that usually happens after some accident, and yeah, people around you might get quite scared.
Sleepwalking and unconsciousness are not the same thing. I'm not an expert, but I think they're different. Sleepwalking involves dreaming. That's what I think. But unconsciousness is just blackout and went blank. That's what I think.